The word cakeism came up quite a bit during, well, the 2016 referendum, much to refer to the fact that the Brexiteers were saying, hey, look, we can get everything we want with none of the downsides that we constantly complain about. But the problem is, there has been a serious problem with cakeism, as I suppose is the best way to describe it, in the UK for quite some time. And you've got to look no further than to really combine these two new buzzwords. First of all, you've got cakeism, the idea you can have everything you want, none of the negatives. And then you've got trussonomics, the brand new economic theory, I suppose, being put forward by the current Conservative Party, basically saying, look, we can have tax cuts, right now, and there'll be jam tomorrow. Very Yorkshire saying that, but basically, it basically means that everything will be all good. It's bad now, but don't worry. In a year's time, we'll all be millionaires, Rodney, as they used to say on Only Fools and Horses. And you might think, well, what's the difference between these two? Because you've got cakeism on one side and then trussonomics on the other. They both sound pretty similar. And that's because, really, trussonomics is just the new buzzword recreated to sum up Liz Truss's offering to the people. But before we get more into this, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. So, cakeism. Wanting all the positives, but none of the negatives. That was how Brexit, and if you remember, if you've been following this is how Brexit was sold. We'll have all the wonderful benefits. We'll stay in the single market and customs union. It'll be fantastic, but we'll have none of the downsides. We won't have freedom of movement. We won't have to send, all this money to Europe. And over the years since 2016, that has been the continuing selling point to a lot of people. And it culminated really in Boris Johnson's 2019 electoral victory, as he himself was selling cakeism en masse to the people. The only problem is that people end up developing quite a sweet tooth to what's being sold. The only problem is that while you are currently eating all the cake, it basically means that your main dish of maybe your vegetables or whatever, or whatever you consider bad, I suppose, is still there, sat on the table, waiting for you to eat it. So rather than actually have to deal with the difficulties, with actually having to face the problem of Britain's proper economic problems, of our low productivity, the lack of investment, our huge lack of skills that we have in this country, is Liz Truss even going to attempt to develop that, or do policies that address these very quite systemic problems in the British economy? No, not one bit. Instead, she goes to the people and goes, look, we'll have tax cuts. Don't worry, it'll solve everything. And, we'll all, like I said at the beginning, we'll all be having jam tomorrow. And that's part of the problem. And when you look at tax cuts, and you look at the UK in particular versus sort of every other sort of comparable country, every other country has raised their taxes because they all see what's coming. They all know they need a deep, shall we say, war chest fund to help do this. But unfortunately, what has happened is that Truss has decided we're going to have tax cuts, and magically there's going to be all this growth. And this growth is going to be achieved by deregulation and tax cuts and lower corporation tax. But there is no evidence to suggest any of this will work. In fact, there was a piece in the Byline Times very recently about a study that came out about trickle down economics, not like studying like what happened in America, but focusing heavily on the UK. And did the UK's version of trickle down economics work? Well, you'll you won't be surprised. You won't be surprised at all to find out that no, of course, the UK's version of trickle down economics didn't work. But there were some boom periods, of course. Labour's big one in 1997. They brought down taxes, but to compensate for that, they increased a lot of other stuff in terms of sort of public services. They put a lot more money into public services. Whereas you look at other conservative governments, they've cut taxes, and then to help pay for those tax cuts, they've taken it all from the public services, taken them all from, like, the town council's budgets. And then people wonder why there are no services anymore in their town, or they've just lost things. One of the best things I think that sums up austerity was actually from, I think, a Barnsley, I think it was a Barnsley councillor who said things just disappear. I think that has summed up austerity. People have just seen things in their towns, services, you name it, just disappear. And of course, roll on 2016, and you get the Brexiteers going, we can look at all this fantastic cake you can have. Is it any wonder why people went for it? Is it any wonder when Boris Johnson started selling levelling up, which, again, you'll notice Liz Truss has said nothing about levelling up, because the classic Johnson play was, ooh, look at Brexit. Ooh, that isn't going too well. Well, ooh, look at levelling up. Oh, that isn't going too well. Well, ooh, look at... And she doesn't seem to be at least of cotton on to the fact that politically that's what she now has to do to play this balancing act of showing. But the thing is, Johnson massively overplayed that, and I don't think that will work as well for her. And I've said before, keep an eye on these Northern Red Wall Tories who are desperate to prove they're not Tories, but at the same time, chanting the Tory mantra constantly. They are going to get very, very worried, I think, in the next 2 years, especially as we've heard. Not only are we going to get obviously this emergency budget in the next couple of days, but obviously Tory conference season is coming up, so we will get to probably see more of whatever crazy nonsense the Liz Truss government is going to come up with next. And they are going to do a lot of speeches about this, certainly in the next coming weeks or so. So look out for that. That's going to be fun, I can tell you that now. But as always, thank you very much for watching, as always. And obviously, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, more donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. There's also the YouTube thank you button down below as well, where you can use that. And of course, there's a YouTube subscription called the Pony Club, where you get bells, badges, and whistles, and all sorts of stuff when you sign up to that. And of course, as always, please remember to hit the like, share, and comment down below on your way out. And of course, we'll see you all next time.